I have absolutely never seen Call of Duty fall this low, and this is coming from somebody who's been playing the franchise since Call of Duty 3. What's up, everybody? My name is Ghost. Appreciate you stopping on by the video today. This is going to be the dark age of Call of Duty and Warzone. The first time I'd seen the Call of Duty scene in shambles was the introduction of jetpacks. The community just didn't quite know what to think. There was operators jumping around like it was Halo on crack. So when Advanced Warfare launched, I think most of the community didn't really mind it because at least they were trying something different. Call of Duty was always in that cycle of everybody repeating, oh, it's just the same thing every year. So at least they were doing something a little bit different. But by the third game in a row, the community honestly just had enough. Thankfully, either Activision knew most of their fan base wasn't going to play or buy Infinite Warfare, God knows why. Bollocks. They decided to release Modern Warfare Remastered alongside of Infinite Warfare, and at least over half of the player base decided to play that game instead, essentially kind of saving the franchise from dying that year. Another time that Call of Duty was on the brink of extinction was actually about halfway through the life cycle of the original Warzone. Now, there's a few contributors to this. Number one, the cheating scene has never been so high in Call of Duty, or probably any shooter ever. It was damn near impossible to play a match without running into somebody that was just absolutely rage hacking.
Oh,
Only 5 remain.
65.
And they've won, of
What the fuck?
The second problem, as much as Verdansk was a really good map, we played on that bitch for 2 years before they implemented a new one, besides Rebirth, leaving everybody extremely fatigued on playing. We eventually got a reskin of Verdansk, which some people thought it was cool, but honestly I thought it was a waste of time and assets. It just seemed like an easy way for them to just go, yay, look, everything is 80s themed now, woohoo! But honestly, it was the exact same map. Also, console players were at an extreme disadvantage to PC players, given that PC players had an FOV slider and the console players didn't. Believe it or not, this is actually a huge deal considering a vast majority of the Call of Duty community and player base is on consoles. Just imagine cutting off like a quarter of each side of your monitor to play on. Well, that's how console players played for roughly 3 years. Warzone got a million times better by the end of the life cycle of Vanguard, which is, you know, the implementation of so many good quality of life updates, UI fixes, and now there was actually 3 maps in the rotation that you could choose from. Caldera wasn't that great, but you had 3 maps to choose from instead of just the one. So as much as the original Warzone is, you know, praised, and yes, it was really good, especially with the movement and stuff, I think people kind of forget the position that Warzone was in for quite some time. The third brings me to current events and the current game that we are playing right now, Warzone 2, which is now, according to the marketing team, after the release of Season 4, they will be dropping the 2.0 from the Warzone name and just calling it Warzone again, which this was followed a couple weeks later with this tweet from the official Call of Duty. Removing a game that's only been out for 3 years while I can still go back and play the original Modern Warfare is just absolutely baffling to me. I understand why they're doing it, but it doesn't mean that I agree with it. We already know that they're taking the original Warzone offline to push those remaining people that are still on it into Warzone 2. More people on Warzone 2 means the more bundle sales and plus higher numbers, you know, that they can just show their shareholders, and the list goes absolutely on. Now, I don't know the difference between, you know, trying to keep a live service style game servers active and a regular title, but I can't imagine it's much different than keeping one of their other servers active, especially since they're completely done doing updates. They're not doing anything else to the game, so I don't understand how hard it is just to keep the servers online. But this is where we're at now. A big part of me really feels awful for those people that spent money on the original Warzone thinking that they would be able to access those items for years to come, but you know, sadly, all that stuff is gone unless you own the actual game that it come from. But then again, all that nostalgia and all the memories just gone and wiped out. You'll never be able to, you know, feel those feelings again or like recreate that nostalgia because Activision just has to get that extra $20 from you. You have to buy a bundle from the store. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is the Nick Merck situation. This one's a little tough and I feel like I need to kind of watch what I say. I think the majority of us find absolutely nothing wrong in what Nick posted, especially as a father myself. Activision not wanting a riot in the office or on social media decided it would be best to part ways with Nick over said tweet. Now, in my opinion, this was an absolutely awful decision that was made by the company. They actually eventually did a little bit more damage than I think they did damage control. Every single time Call of Duty posts anything, anywhere, on any social media, it doesn't matter, all the comments are just nothing but about leaving children alone, calling them groomers, and you know, it just goes on. Now, not only does this affect the official Call of Duty accounts, but it doesn't stop there. From what I can tell, smaller streamers are kind of getting huge backlash from all this as well, where larger streamers, yeah, they're getting it a bit, but larger streamers seem to have larger communities that are usually, you know, pretty nice, especially to the creators that, you know, that they really enjoy or that they will support in almost whatever that they decide to do or make content on. Most time people like people for their personality and everything, not the games that they play. Where smaller streamers and content creators have a much smaller audience, and people that don't, you know that content creator or they're very unfamiliar with them are more likely to just, you know, hate or troll for making content on a game that they don't like, or it was a game that they do like that they don't like now, because they don't have that actual connection. So I kind of feel like smaller streamers are actually getting a nice little brunt of this, and it kind of sucks. This whole thing has been honestly just kind of making, you know, the lives of the marketing team, the social media team, the creators that make content on the game miserable. I still would really like to see Call of Duty or Activision, you know, publicly apologize to Nick and reinstate his bundle at some point in time, but honestly, I wouldn't hold my breath. In the end, I'm really proud of Tim for sticking by his friend that showed some true love and loyalty. I just really wish that people would understand that this was a business decision that was made by the way higher ups and the developers of the game and everyone else on all of the other teams that have everything to do with this franchise. They had nothing to do with this choice. And, you know, maybe something will change in the future with, you know, all the bigger streamers that are boycotting the game. But unfortunately, there's always a next in line that's got a decent following and that's willing to play their game. So I wouldn't be too hopeful. This is the last one, and I'm gonna try to keep this one short. We all know it's kind of like beating a fucking horse to death. Warzone 2.0, well, now just Warzone, was and has been a failure. I can agree that on the content side of things, we've honestly been getting way more content than we ever got in the life cycle of Warzone 1. We got 3 maps and we're only 6 months into the life cycle. We have DMZ, we have Plunder. There's a lot of stuff to do, but without the soul, what do we really have? All the quality of life updates are gone, or they're taking absolutely forever to be implemented. The movement still sucks. Every single thing you do feels slow and clunky. The servers are still a mess. They've mixed the old gen with the current gen when they were promising us like a true next gen experience, so we wouldn't have to deal with all these bugs. That was the purpose of, you know, 2.0, the next era, the next gen era, and we just got this, man. I mean, I don't know, Warzone 2 has, or Warzone, whatever the fuck, has really felt just like a hollow shell of what it once was. It may have like 4 shells now, but they're all empty. There is one development team that we haven't heard from in a while that's just been helping out with all these projects that just might have something cooking in the background in case Warzone 2 miserably fails. And I have a feeling that by the end of next year, many of us are going to be shocked for what's really in store. This has been the Dark Age of Call of Duty and Warzone. If you guys enjoyed the video, a like is always greatly appreciated. Consider subscribing to the channel. I mainly do COD content, but I do have some plans for some different stuff in the future, some X-Defiant, some other games. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you so much. Take care.